Hey, there we are. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning from the office. We are North Georgia's only live online telecast. Morning, Bruce.
Morning, Rick.
Well, if you're expecting to see Brian this morning, you're out of luck.
You're stuck with us.
Yeah, you're stuck with us. Brian is, I don't know whether should we call him iced in or snowed in this morning?
I'm not sure. Whatever.
Yeah, come on, get closer, buddy. We haven't seen each other in a while.
Shift.
There we go. Yeah, we're here sitting in for Brian this morning. We're delighted to be here. We got a little chill up in North Georgia up here. We got some frozen precip during the night. Nothing to write home about. Nothing that us hardy ex-Chicagoans couldn't withstand. We made
non-event.
We made it to the friendly confines here without any problem. So I don't know if any of the schools have slated to open late today, or any of the county offices, but
I think the Fannin schools are on a delayed opening.
they are the delayed opening, and
yeah.
that's typically because there's one high school that serves the entire county, and it's a lot of geography, not a lot of population, but a lot of geography, and you've got
A lot up and down.
a lot of back roads and a lot of up and down for the buses to cover. So it's not like you can't get there when you're in downtown Blue Ridge where the school is located. But anyway, we're getting into the weeds on that.
Are the buses four-wheel drive? Or are they?
The buses are not four-wheel drive. Can you imagine the transfer case that would
I'm
have
just asking.
that would have to accommodate? Maybe a short bus would be four-wheel drive.
So they're rear-wheel drive.
They are
Okay.
rear.
So they can
drive.
drift those babies.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, you don't want them drifting them with the
Do
kids.
a power
huh?
slide on the mountain roads. Anyway, we digress. We're delighted to be here this morning, sitting in for Brian for BKP, who's let's just say he's on assignment somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Destiny's in charge this morning, though.
we
She
do all
is.
those?
I think Destiny put all those up.
Oh, well, okay.
Following us on the different social media accounts. I think you put that up earlier on, Destiny. But we're delighted to have you here at the helm and guide us through the newsworthy chicanes this morning, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's going on in your life?
Articles of impeachment. I mean, it's
Again?
finally come to this articles of impeachment as of yesterday, and they.
You're not tired of talking about it, huh?
No. It's we're going to be talking about it for weeks, months
All
on
right,
end.
here we go.
So
Yeah.
it came down to abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, not obstruction of
Hey, where did that
justice.
bribery thing go?
Bribery went by the boards. So did extortion.
Where did that quid pro quo go?
By the boards. By the boards.
Couldn't prove it?
I
Didn't
think
they prove anything?
Well, I mean, even these two things are very weak. So I have a little thing here from Robert Ray, who
Robert Ray, the former...
special prosecutor, took over
special-
for Ken Starr with
Yeah.
the Clinton deal.
Yeah.
Or no, yeah, it was Clinton. Anyway, he said they've passed through treason, they passed through bribery, they passed through extortion, they passed through illegal campaign contributions, and they passed through obstruction of justice. What they have is two very weak charges, in his opinion. So it's very, very sad to see it come to this. So
When are they going to get to that emoluments clause?
who knows when? That'll probably be next. When this one falls by the wayside, they'll find something else.
The whole purpose, I'm just absolutely convinced the whole purpose is we've said it time and time again. We say it on Friday when we're with you, with the audience on the All-Star panel with Jane. They do not have a candidate, and they verbalize it. Al Green,
He's a congressman from Texas.
the Wolfman.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wolfman, Al Green, out of Texas. We've got to impeach him because we can't beat him.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what he says.
If we don't impeach him, he will be reelected.
And that's exactly what Schiff said yesterday in his
yeah.
in his funeral dirge that he put forth.
It's the same old song, repeated again and again, just with different terms and things like that. So it's pretty sad that it's come to this. And articles of impeachment, I think they're going to try and get a vote today or tomorrow.
Boy, they're ramming this thing through fast.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, there's two schools of thought on that. If they really want to get it through quick and be done with it, because they know it's going to die in the Senate, then there's a question how the Senate's going to deal with it. But I think they want to get this past everybody, and so they can concentrate on the election.
Did you not find it strange yesterday, or did you might find it contrived that they came out with these goofballs, of 7 of them yesterday, including Nancy Pelosi, standing there reading these articles of impeachment and how solemn and somber a day it was.
Oh, yes.
And what a sad day it was for the country. And then literally 45 minutes later, they come out and say, we're here to pass the USMCA.
Yep.
And
With
by the
a
way,
huge group behind them. With a huge group. And
And by the way, what we got from the president was just not acceptable. We had to take it, massage it, and make it so much better. We got Trumpka involved. We got the unions involved. We got these people involved, and it was just so. It was gross.
Well, it's like, we had to deconstruct the deal and then rebuild it and make it so much better than it was. What they say, they received a flawed NAFTA bill from President Trump.
Yeah, a flawed NAFTA bill.
Yeah, well, excuse me, that happened under Bill Clinton, who passed the bill
That
originally.
was the flawed NAFTA bill.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the USMCA.
No, not at all. I mean,
It was just so contrived, though, that they came out with that right afterwards. And to your point, let's get the impeachment thing over with, and then get to something that we can take some credit for, or we can hang our hat on, so it doesn't look like we're going through the impeachment process.
Well, yes. I mean, and the articles of impeachment, I've renamed them the particles of derangement. And I mean, it's
Did you
it's
get
like
a TM on that? That's pretty copyright. Anything?
I probably should.
Yeah.
I wanted to create a new word, farticle, but anyway. But the impeachment issue to me is sort of like, the rotting fish in the room, and they basically had to do the MCA to get past the smell of the rotting fish.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And President Trump said as much at the rally last night. He said they're just trying to muffle all the bad news and the bad vibes that are coming out of the impeachment across the country, even among their base.
Right.
I mentioned to you that Turning Point USA had a clip on where they sent a reporter out into the streets of California, very liberal cities there, and he asked people, said, should President Trump be impeached? And virtually 90% of all the people they talked to, and I don't know if they were screened or not, but sort of just citizens on the street, over 90% of them said no. I mean, they had very few people that said he should be impeached. I think people across this country, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or anything in between, are sick of this. They're just sick of it.
Yeah. Granted, I'm prejudiced to one side. However, I really do believe this is going to backfire. I think this is going to have such a backlash effect.
I think it already has, and Trump mentioned that in the rally last night. The Firehouse survey of all the battleground states, I think 7 or 8 states now Trump is beating every single Democratic candidate, starting from Biden by I think 5 or 6 points, down to Mayor Pete and Bernie by like 15 or 20 points. So these polls, Firehouse, when they last did their last one, he was behind.
Firehouse a pollster?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They're a survey group.
All right.
And, I think the last one they did that covered these, whether it was a month or 2 months ago, he was behind every one of them. Now he's in front of every one of them. So I think the pendulum is swinging, folks.
It's just incredulous that we have to go through this. And, you look at the other side of the street with the economy and the jobs reports and the numbers from Black Friday.
Oh yeah, and
off
Cyber Monday.
And Cyber Monday, we're just off the chart.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Phenomenal numbers. You follow it closer than I do. I'm assuming that the way the market continues to rally, that the earnings reports continue to at least stay on the positive side.
Yeah, the market is chugging along despite all this distracting news. It's doing quite well. And I mean, if you look at the U.S. compared to economies in Europe and Asia, we are definitely a world leader right now. Our economy is the one that is doing very well across a number of sectors. There are some sectors that, as always, will not be quite as strong as others, but is doing very well. And you get the Democrats just dumping abuse on everything that the president does. The media is giving no credit to what's going on with the economy. They want to talk about impeachment, the IG report.
Whose war really is this, do you think, against Trump? Is it the media's war?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're in bed with they're the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, in my humble opinion.
No, I truly believe that that's correct.
Yeah, I mean, we've said this before. I mean, they're basically the Ministry of Propaganda. So,
Did you watch the rally last night?
I did watch part of the rally.
Yeah, we were out last night at a charity event, and I didn't get to see it, and I failed to record it, so I didn't. I saw that the Hershey, Pennsylvania, what they call the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania, held 10,500 people.
It was packed,
and it was solid packed early on,
and it was raucous.
And the people outside, there were just as many people outside. They had monitors and they had sound equipment out there, but the weather was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was raining.
Yeah, miserable.
And people still stood out there, and you cannot overlook that if you're a Democrat. You just can't look past that, especially when you see, some of the town halls that don't drag anybody off the streets.
And where was Bernie Sanders recently?
Bernie Sanders, yes.
Bernie just Sanders, in terms of juxtaposition.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders was in a little town hall gathering invited by the Culinary Union in Las Vegas.
Chefs and cooks.
I think that was, yeah. They didn't have any pots and pans to throw at him, but there was a lot of backlash against old the 80. What is he? 86? Is that right?
No, he's not that old.
Oh, he's not?
No, I think he's 80.
He just looks it. Or is that Nancy I'm thinking of?
No, he's in his 70s. He's in his 70s.
Okay, anyway, he got literally lambasted when he came out with his Medicare for all, and then he started to, sidestep, and you've worked hard for this, you've given up your wages for this, you should have Medicare for all, and they're just going, they're chanting union health care.
Get out of here.
Yeah, they don't want that. They want what Congress has. They want the good stuff.
Yeah, well, Congress isn't going to share that with too many people.
But, I mean, Bernie doesn't get 10,500 people to show up for anything.
No.
I mean, they had that rally in New York that was, co-chaired by AOC, and that was a big outdoor thing. Mm-hmm. Half of the people just wondering what was going on just stopped by.
Well, often
so they get counted food. In. Yeah, and all the freebies. Let's go get some free stuff.
But you look at the Democratic, slate of candidates. I mean, and you have Joe, who's just every time he opens his mouth, I mean, he just puts his foot in it.
Boy, he is just a gaffe machine.
And then you have Elizabeth, and then you have Corey, and you got Mayor Pete, and Kamala's out.
Corey,
yeah,
the only person of color anymore left.
Exactly. I mean, and you just look at that group and the way they're milling around, and and some of the positions are so left of center that we've talked about this on the Friday show, that it's hard to believe that the mainstream media spends any time analyzing these things that are never going to come to fruition. I mean, Medicare for all, give free college to everybody. Basically jack the tax rates. These things are not going to happen.
No.
And so many of the talking heads on TV spend hours in the week.
Debating it.
Every week, every month, analyzing and saying, how this is going to affect it and how, its chances of passage. And folks, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So let's get on to something real.
Maybe if we talked about the Durham report, that would be real, or maybe the Horowitz IG report.
Yeah, well, the Horowitz is out now, the Inspector General report. The the Durham report is, I just heard this the other day. I thought it was going to be sooner. They said it might not be out till late spring, early summer.
Wow.
So that guy's doing some homework, and he's got a lot to chew on.
Well, do you think maybe that's a positioning point too?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, if you're talking about late spring, early summer, you're talking about the battleground season of the campaigns.
It's leading right up to the conventions. It'll be, I think, the conventions are July. The Republican convention's a foregone conclusion, but the Democratic convention, I mean, we will have winnowed out one of these candidates, or someone new will have stepped in. We'll talk about that maybe.
They came out. Are you talking about Hillary?
I'm talking about Hillary.
Do you know? Did you believe that report that came out yesterday that said that if Hillary threw her hat in the race or threw whatever she throws into the race,
Her pantsuit.
what's that?
Her pantsuit.
Yeah, exactly. Her pantsuit. I'm going to get my best lime pantsuit and throw it into the race. Nice contrast stitching, by the way, on the jacket. Anyway, they said that she'd lead.
Yeah,
She would be leading the polls.
Biden by 1 point, 21-20.
How does that happen? You know,
Wishful thinking. There's a block of the Democratic Party that's just, ruining the day that she didn't win. First female president, so educated, so knowledgeable about the office, such a liar.
so much to hide.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Jiminy
it's hard to
Christmas.
believe that she could really be a viable candidate. But I mean, look at Bloomberg. He's coming in, spent a bunch of money, going nowhere. Zero on the zerometer.
Well, you said that on the show a couple weeks ago, and Brian thought that he was going to be the next coming. I think
Yeah.
maybe I misspoke, but anyway.
No. Deval Patrick.
Oh, Deval Patrick. Where's
Is
he? Yeah, Deval Patrick.
We'll ask Brian on Friday. He's his favorite candidate.
Where's Deval Patrick in all of this?
Well, he thinks because he's Barack Obama backed that he's going to.
Well, there's no question that he is.
He's going to.
I agree
He's
with
going to.
that.
He's going to break out. And
he just doesn't want to be in the fray with all the minions on the stages.
maybe.
Well, he can't qualify anyway yet, according to the Well, the Democrats will fix that. If they want him on the stage, they'll find a way to get him on there.
Yeah, all these things about filing dates and everything with the states to get your name on the ballot and all that.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. We're good.
There'll be a workaround.
We're good here.
There'll be a workaround.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and Steyer, the other billionaire. I mean, he's going nowhere. You hear nothing about him. But I think as some of these start to drop by the wayside, I think Corey's going to go soon. I think Michael Bennett from Colorado is still in. He's going to go.
I can't remember any of their names anymore. They're so irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. And
you don't hear any of them except for about the top five. You got Biden, you got Sanders, you
Warren.
got Buttigieg, you got Warren, and then
Booker
you throw the whoever's making the most noise.
Yeah, but
week.
Tulsi Gabbard, she's
Yeah.
drifting away. Amy Klobuchar is drifting away. So there's a number of them.
Tulsi Gabbard's a Russian spy.
Military background though. So, but
Part of the resistance.
As some of these drift away and step away from the race, I think you'll start to see more of a headlining of some of these people that are sort of on the edges now. But we'll see.
In the second hour at 9:00, I'd really like to go in the weeds a little bit and give you my opinion on the whole Ukraine. Rush came out with some unbelievable stuff, and One America News. If you haven't looked at One America News, folks, take a look at it. It's a conservative show, news organization based out of San Diego, I believe.
San Diego?
I believe San Diego. And they've been around since
Nice place to live.
2013, 2014, something like that. But they're starting to make inroads And let me tell you, you don't see, with all of the, and I know I'm going off the rails here a little bit, just to preview what I want to talk about at 9.
You did say the weeds.
I know, yeah.
This isn't a cannabis company.
There's some rails that lead into those weeds. Have you seen, with all of the chatter about Rudy being in the Ukraine, have you seen any of the news organizations, the mainstream news organizations, that have taken the time to send one of their reporters over there to cover some of the stuff?
Nuh-uh.
Negative. Well, One American News Report did.
Or it's so explosive they can't run with it.
Yeah. So explosive. Yeah, well, anyway, we're going to go into that in the second hour, but, we started to go into the Durham, but let's go back to Horowitz, because that's the actual report that's out.
The Inspector General.
And not speculate on Horowitz, but maybe compare and contrast your thoughts on the Horowitz report.
Well, basically, he said there was no political bias exhibited by the leadership of the FBI or anybody involved with this whole thing, which raises the question, how do you test for political bias? And did they ask the question of, do you have a personal bias versus political bias? We don't know these things, but I think basically it was a whitewash of the FBI leadership on bias issues. And again, I'm not quite sure how they define that or ask that question. But I think the bigger bottom line for me was that there were 17 glaring omissions of procedure in what they did with the FISA application and the FISA renewals.
The FBI.
The FBI. And to the point where the FBI has announced an audit of their practices for future FISA applications. Doesn't do much for what happened already with Carter Page and the whole hoax thing, but Horowitz not having grand jury power and subpoena power, just sort of, I think, laid the roadmap down for Durham. John Durham, who is doing a parallel report, if you will, has that power. So I think criminal referrals and some of the things that Horowitz has laid out will be acted upon by Durham.
Horowitz doesn't have any power at all.
Yeah.
He can only talk to people that are currently in the Department of Justice.
And he talks about like what the current procedure is for, or what the playbook is, the rules of employment.
It's all procedural stuff, and it's not.
Yeah.
There's nothing that comes out of it of substance ever. And I don't understand why the guy's still in the same position. He's a leftover Obama hack who's just a milquetoast.
But it's typical for our government agencies, though. They have positions like this to protect the public,
right.
And so that we have, good civil servants across the board in all these agencies.
Right.
And it's sort of anachronism. It's window dressing.
Here's how it works. Seriously, here's how it works. He sits in a room and he's talking to somebody that's currently within the DOJ, and he said, was there any political bias in Nanny Boo Boo? Well, no, there wasn't. Okay, no political bias. And he writes it down.
And you can leave. Thank you.
You can leave. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
And that's why the Democrats were just so excited about this report coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Because unlike the Mueller report, where there was no collusion, they all just kind of went, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Oh, wait, Horowitz is coming out. And as soon as he said there was no political bias, that's what everybody was running with, including James Comey.
Yeah, and Director Wray. They both came out, and Andrew McCabe. And they all came out with these, see, we're free and clear and clean as the day is new.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't buy it for a minute.
Exactly.
Anyway, so, yeah, I think it laid out those glaring omissions. I think there's a lot of things for Durham to work with, which I think he already is on some of these. But it's sort of come and gone. It's not much is going to come of it.
Well, let's think about breaking here for a few minutes, and when we come back, let's talk about the reaction by Durham and the reaction by Barr to the Horowitz report and the reaction that the Democrats had and the counter reaction.
The reaction to the reaction.
The reaction to the reaction. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And I think it's not only is it shocking, but I mean it truly is unconventional for some of the things that were said by Durham to be said at all.
Well, and Barr as well.
And Barr.
Yeah, both of them.
Unless there's some really, really bad stuff coming down the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, if you were looking for BKP this morning, you're not finding him here, are you? We got RFG and BAC here from downtown Fannin County. Yeah, we muscled down the icy roads this morning and made it here on time so that we could be rescued by Destiny, who's in charge. Back behind the controls this morning, and I think
And she got in before us.
she got in well before us, but
Yeah,
she
so
lives
all's
closer.
good. Yeah,
She said she just kind of did a half slide down the hill, and yep. So little black ice, but who cares? We're here to substitute for BKP. We're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Durham's reaction and Barr's reaction to the IG report that Horowitz laid out. Take us to break, Destiny.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge, we have your new house in stock.
Better days ahead. Dave Chevy in Jasper makes the holidays bright. And during the 2019 model year end clearance sale, the savings are huge. Like over $11,000 off 2019 Silverado crew cabs, or more than $6,500 off 2019 Chevy Colorados. 'Tis the season of giving, and we're giving you thousands off every Chevy during the 2019 model year end clearance at Dave Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevys always cost less. Better days ahead, Dave Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Hey, we are back. If you're just tuning in, you can plainly see that BKP is not here. You've got RFG and BAC. Yeah, where is that boy? Normally, we ingratiate you with our presence on Fridays, along with Jane in the All-Star panel. But we've asked to
Right after Ask the Doc.
right after ask the say that fast 3
Right
times.
after Ask the Doc.
Yeah, exactly. So we're delighted to be here, though. We are coming to you from the office, North Georgia's only live online broadcast, and you can see on the screen that Destiny has put up how to get a hold of us on social media. You can Twitter us, you can Instagram us, or you can go to our YouTube channel at FYNTV, Fetch Your News. Any of those will get you there. You can always call Chief at fetchyournews.com at 706-889-9700. That phone is manned or ladied, whatever the case may be, 24/7. If you've got breaking news, or if you want to let us know about any current events or anything like that, make sure that you contact us at that number, and we will be happy to respond.
I have a question about that. Chief at fetchyournews.com. Chief. Does a headdress pass from person to person?
I don't know.
Or,
Well, yeah, I mean, that could be. That could go with the phone.
or does it just sit on the computer with the voicemail?
That's right. Anyway, we're having some fun this morning. You know, one of the things that really stuck out in my mind during that whole impeachment thing.
Oh my gosh. Hours and hours.
And the goings on, and the, notwithstanding the fact that right at the
Point
beginning.
Point of order.
Yeah. Right at the beginning was that demonstration by obviously somebody that was pro-Trump, because he just started screaming and going off on the Democrats. How people were sick of him. They were sick of impeachment.
Trump is innocent.
Yeah, sick of impeachment and all that.
It's from Infowars.
Yeah, was that who it was from?
Mm-hmm. Infowars.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't see any detail on that.
Yeah.
You got any more? Or?
No, that's all I did.
Okay.
I just know that he was an Infowar employee.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Was he expelled summarily?
He was dragged out, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like some at the rally last night were dragged out.
Oh, were they?
Oh, yeah, they had
They had a few
get her out of here.
interlopers.
Yep, yeah.
It's you look forward to some of the people the people on the Republican side that have been proactive, let's say,
Okay.
in defending Trump, and proactive in just picking apart some of the garbage that's spewed by some of these lawyers and by some of the
Constitutional law professors.
yeah, exactly. There was one that stuck out in my mind that you brought to the attention this morning, and we just thought, it'd be fun to try to get in to show that. It's 5 minutes long, but let me tell you, it is well worth it. You go ahead and tee it up.
I think to put a point on the impeachment process, this is a clip of a representative from Florida, Matt Gaetz, sent to me by a friend from New Orleans, and it's quite interesting. So he does a very good job addressing one of the constitutional law professors. So Destiny, if you could roll that, we will share that with the audience.
Here we go.
The will of the American people also elected Donald Trump to be the president of the United States in the 2016 election, and there's one party that can't seem to get over it. Now, we understand the fact that in 2018 you took the House of Representatives, and we haven't spent our time during your tenure in power trying to remove the Speaker of the House, trying to delegitimize your ability to govern. Frankly, we'd love to govern with you. We'd love to pass USMCA. We'd love to put out a helping hand to our seniors and lower prescription drug prices. It's the will of the people you ignore when you continue down this terrible road of impeachment. Professor Gerhardt, you gave money to Barack Obama, right?
My family did, yes.
4 times?
That sounds about right. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have a series of unanimous consent requests relating to Professor Feldman's work. The first, Noah Feldman, Trump's wiretap tweets raise risk of impeachment.
The gentleman will suspend.
My time.
We'll take that time off. Has the gentleman submitted? Have we seen those that material?
We can provide it to you, as is typical for unanimous.
And we'll consider the unanimous consent request later after we review
Very well.
the material.
Very well. Thank you.
The gentleman may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Feldman wrote articles entitled, "Trump's Wiretap Tweets Raise Risk of Impeachment." He then wrote, "Mar-a-Lago ad belongs in impeachment file." And then Mr. Jake Flanagan wrote in Quartz, "A Harvard law professor thinks Trump could be impeached over fake news accusations." My question, Professor Feldman, is since you seem to believe that the basis for impeachment is even broader than the basis that my Democrat colleagues have laid forward, do you believe you're outside of the political mainstream on the question of impeachment?
I believe that impeachment is warranted whenever the president abuses his power for personal benefit or to corrupt the democratic process.
Did you write an article entitled, "It's hard to take impeachment seriously now"?
Yes, I did write that
article. And in that article, did you write, hold on, I'm limited on time, sir.
I wrote
did you
that
write,
article.
since the 2018 midterm election, House Democrats have made it painfully clear that discussing impeachment is primarily or even exclusively a tool to weaken President Trump's chances in 2020. Did you write those words?
Until this call on July 25th, I was an impeachment skeptic. The call changed my mind, sir, and for good reason.
Thank you. I appreciate your testimony. Professor Carlin, you gave $2,000, or you gave $1,000 to Elizabeth Warren, right?
I believe so.
You gave $1,200 to Barack Obama?
I have no reason to question that.
And you gave $2,000 to Hillary Clinton?
That's correct.
Why so much more for Hillary than the other two?
Because I've been giving a lot of money to charity recently because of all of the poor people in the United States.
Well, those aren't the only folks you've been given to. Now, have you ever been on a podcast called Versus Trump?
Right.
I think I was on a live panel that the people who ran the podcast called Versus Trump.
On that, do you remember saying the following? Liberals tend to cluster more. Conservatives, especially very conservative people, tend to spread out more. Perhaps because they don't even want to be around themselves. Did you say that?
Yes, I did.
Do you understand how that reflects contempt on people who are conservative?
No, what I was talking about there was the natural tendency, if you put the quote in context, the natural tendency of a compactness requirement to favor a party whose voters are more spread out.
Well,
and I do not have contempt for conservatives.
I'm very limited on time, Professor. And so I just have to say, when you talk about how liberals want to be around each other and cluster, and conservatives don't want to be around each other, and so they have to spread out, it makes people, you may not see this from, like the ivory towers of your law school, but it makes actual people in this country feel like, excuse me, you don't get to interrupt me on this time. Now, let me also suggest that when you invoke the president's son's name here, when you try to make a little joke out of referencing Barron Trump, that does not lend credibility to your argument. It makes you look mean. It makes you look like you're attacking someone's family, the minor child of the President of the United States. So let's see if we can get into the facts. To all of the witnesses, if you have personal knowledge of a single material fact in the Schiff report, please raise your hand. And let the record reflect no personal knowledge of a single fact. And you know what? That continues on the tradition that we saw from Adam Schiff, where Ambassador Taylor could not identify an impeachable offense. Mr. Kent never met with the president. Fiona Hill never heard the president reference anything regarding military aid. Mr. Hale was unaware of any nefarious activity with aid. Colonel Vindman even rejected the new Democrat talking point that bribery was invoked here. Ambassador Volker denied that there was a quid pro quo, and Mr. Morrison said there was nothing wrong on the call. The only direct evidence came from Gordon Sondland, who spoke to the President of the United States, and the President said, "I want nothing. No quid pro quo." And you know what? If wiretapping a political opponent's an impeachable offense, I look forward to reading that Inspector General's report, because maybe it's a different president we should be impeaching.
Gentleman's time has expired, Mr. Cicilline.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Professor Feldman.
That ought to give you a little background on some of those some of those legal experts that were brought in.
But they have a personal life too.
They have a personal
and they
life.
do some stuff outside of their official roles that's quite astounding.
So let me just throw this out there, and I'm going to be as gentle as I can. There is a clip going around that is one of the most vile and disgusting things I've ever seen, and it features the lady that you just saw in that video, Pamela Karlan, a Stanford professor.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Stanford law professor, self-described as a snarky, bisexual Jewish woman.
That was a quote directly from that person. That person is also pictured in an anatomically correct, life-size replica of a piece of the female anatomy, and I won't describe it any
I think
anymore.
You've gone far enough.
And it truly reflects the thinking that goes behind the Democrat strategy to try to get rid of President Trump. The people that are behind this thing are absolutely despicable. And if you see this tweet, if you see this video, if you see this clip, you're going to go, oh my God, I never thought it could be this bad. But it really is horrible. So anyway, thanks for bringing that video up.
Yeah, it was quite good.
And that piece that came to me was, a little bit serendipitous. I didn't even know that was coming, and all of a sudden I looked down at my phone, and
it's bada bing, bada boom.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
And there she is, live and in color on TV.
Yep. Well.
Anyway, boy, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's amazing some of the things that go on.
Back to the IG report and the reaction by the most. What I think is, thank God we've got Barr.
Yes.
Thank God we've got that man in the Attorney General's seat right now.
And
Two-time attorney, now what is a three-time Attorney General now, right?
Yeah.
Attorney General 3 times. This guy he's unflappable. I don't know if you saw the newscast, the interview that he did with NBC. I mean, he laid it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very straightforward.
Run with it.
He's very straightforward, and again, I mean, you think of where the Trump presidency is now, and with him as Attorney General dealing with these issues. If you can just go back in time and think, how would Jeff Sessions be dealing with this? Oh my goodness! I mean, it just
Beauregard.
Yeah. So he brings a whole level of professionalism and gravitas to the position that Jeff could only have hoped for. In any case, I think he's being very judicial and very constitutional, if you will, in going after some of the issues that he sees are very blatant issues. So we'll leave it at that, I guess. And so
Russia had a piece on it, and I'd like to share some of it with you. He said, during the whole entire Mueller investigation, after all of this crazy allegations and stupid stuff being bandied about, not one time other than right at the end did Mueller come out and say, you know what, whoa, that's not right. But when the IG report comes out, it was unprecedented, I think, according to the experts, that they would both jump on this so loudly. There was an indication before it was even released that Barr said that he didn't agree with the findings. But when Durham came out and he said, after reading the IG's report and then measuring and balancing against what he found, he felt compelled to issue a statement, stating not that he just disagrees, but that he has gone way beyond that Horowitz has, and that's why he disagrees. There's another reason for this happening. He said, you don't want to tell anybody. I said, this is a political component. Barr knows exactly what's going on here, the whole thing, every bit of it. is a political operation. It's a silent coup to get rid of Donald Trump. These guys know this. And, I mean, he's already impaneled a grand jury.
Mm-hmm.
So that usually doesn't happen unless there's going to be criminal charges.
Yeah, and you can imagine, I mean, when this breaks, that the spin from the other side is going to be tremendous.
In terms of political bias?
Yes.
For the president?
For the president, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already, constantly characterized Attorney General Barr as sort of the lapdog for Donald Trump.
Oh, you mean like Obama's lapdog?
Well, who would that be?
There were two of them.
Oh, okay. Loretta Lynch and...
There's one.
Eric Holder?
Eric Holder.
There we go.
Giddy up.
Yep.
Where was Loretta Lynch during this whole thing? I mean, you've got all of these DOJ underlings that report to Loretta Lynch. She was not even involved at all.
No, she was. She was at the airport in Phoenix talking to Bill
That's
Clinton
right.
about his golf
what
game.
What about the grandkids? Little golf, little grandkids.
A little golf there.
Just so serendipitous that we got together at the airport in Phoenix. Boy, it was hot that day. I didn't know if I was going to go out and play golf in 140-degree weather. But I found some air conditioning, and old Loretta Lynch and I, we just kind of talked about grandkids, and yeah, baloney. They contrived so that Hillary didn't get thrown under the bus.
Yeah, and Eric Holder, of course, is Attorney General held in contempt of the Senate. So, just saying. It's going to go from bad to worse here, I think, when this finally breaks. And if this is late spring, early summer, I mean, we have months of everyone second-guessing, spinning, opinionating, commenting. It's going to be, with everything else going on, it's going to be, I think, a tough 3 or 4 months.
It truly is a swamp out there, folks. I mean, it is really a swamp.
Yeah, and we've gone from aerobic to anaerobic. We're way down in the muck.
That means we can't breathe anymore on our own.
Yeah.
We've got to have gills.
That means they're breathing methane or something.
That's pretty funny. I mean, you've even got what did we see this? What did we see this morning, Bruce? We got
oh boy.
What's her name out of California?
Oh boy. Karen Bass.
Is that who it is?
Yes. I think she's a congresswoman. There she is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Impeachment Keen.
What did she say? She said if we don't get him on abuse of power or obstruction of Congress, we'll just reload and go again. And God only knows what they'll come up with, as a basis for this one.
Representative Karen Bass, Democrat California, said Tuesday she's willing to impeach President Trump again if he wins re-election in 2020. TMZ founder Harvey Levin presented Bass with a scenario in which Trump wins a second term, but Democrats take over the Senate. Never going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. There's no such thing really as double jeopardy in an impeachment trial, said Harvey. Suppose she gets re-elected, she said unequivocally that they would go back after him again. Take another bite at the apple.
And does she give any basis for that?
No, she thinks that there's probably going to be more charges coming because they've raced this through so quickly. They haven't taken the time to do what all the experts are saying they should do, and that is take their time, make sure that they uncover all of the bases, and make sure that they've got all of their ducks in line instead of rushing through something. They could have...
It goes back to what Robert Ray said in that thing I read, that he said, I'm a firm believer in the Constitution, that there has to be a crime. And he said, with both these articles of impeachment, or particles of derangement, that they have brought...
That's copyrighted, by the way.
There's no crime. There's no crime that's been shown, proven. And so Robert Ray is saying, if this is the best they got, it's a woeful attempt. And, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, a waste of our tax dollars if they've gone through the Mueller report and now they've gone through this whole thing with Ukraine, they are not doing anything but wasting our money going after a president in a silent coup or, a very public coup. And things like prescription drug prices, infrastructure, USMCA, other bills that they really should be working on are just being put aside, and they are really not doing the public's work. It's a sad state of affairs.
I mean, Karen Bass is just one of many that said that they're just going to keep pounding it, keep pounding it, and keep pounding it to do nothing for the American people, but to just keep. Does she come from a long line of Basses?
I think she does. Yes.
Wasn't there a singer by the name of Fontella Bass?
I would hope Fontella Bass is not related to her, but
Did she sing "Rescue Me"?
Rescue
Me. Yeah. Fontella Bass, a long line of Basses.
Yep. And
I think she might be a distant relative to Lance Bass from the from what was it?
NSYNC?
NSYNC.
Oh boy.
I wonder if that's a relative of Lance Bass.
Well, I think
it could be it could be an aunt to Ernest T. Bass.
Ernest T. Bass.
Ernest T. Bass.
Now there's a name.
Ernest T. Bass from the Andy Griffith Show. Hey, it's Ernest T. There you go.
Was he the guy that developed the Bassmaster? The flopping fish on the
Bassmatic.
wall? Bassmatic.
Anyway, we digress. Sorry about that. But
Indeed.
We're having some fun this morning at Brian's
expense.
Expense. Yeah, there you go. I couldn't think of the big word.
We are so well paid.
Yeah, I know. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, we touched on we hammered the so-called experts, the constitutional experts, who were literally picked apart by Matt Gaetz et al. In that hearing. It was quite fun to watch. The same thing happened in the when they were interviewing the judges. When
the judges,
the lawyers, excuse me, not the judges, the lawyers. They had the lawyers on the panel yesterday in GOP District 9 representative and what's his name?
Doug Collins?
Doug, yeah, gee, many Christmas. Doug Collins went after him on his contributions and also his contact with the whistleblower. And that was, again, crickets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was you could tell the body language in this guy. He was just dying. Because he was being asked pointed questions that he knew if he answered, he'd be skewered.
Yeah, and the dichotomy was evident for the whole world to see. The Democrats brought in 3 law professors, and the Republicans are only allowed 1.
And the only one that ended up with any credibility.
Exactly.
I knew you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Jonathan Turley. I mean, he's been on a lot of TV shows over the years. He's a George Washington University law professor.
Voted for Hillary.
Yeah. Basically, doesn't like Trump, as he stated. And then you had one professor from Harvard for the Democrats. You had one from Stanford, and where was the other one from?
Gerhard, Stanford, George Washington, and North Carolina.
Oh, that's right, UNC.
UNC.
Yeah, Gerhard was from UNC.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I mean, it just, they keep saying this is a show, this is a hoax. I kind of like, we've used it in the past, kabuki. This is like kabuki theater. It's like, okay, we're going to trot out all these people. We're going to have days and days and days of back and forth questions, answers, this and that. But it's all for show. I mean, it basically covers up the real mission here is to just confuse and obfuscate and make life difficult for the president. And that's all they're doing. And it sucks.
That's a good way to put a point on the end of the story. It sucks. Anyway, hopefully we don't. Hopefully you've been having some fun this morning along with us. We are in for BKP. We're going to take a pause for the cause, and we're going to hopefully watch all of the people that make this show possible. There's some wonderful sponsors out here in the county areas that we represent. There's 10 counties, 11 counties. I don't know how many we're up to now, but there's a lot of great people out there that will be happy to take care of your Christmas shopping needs, your car service needs, your new car needs. Whatever you're looking for, you can probably find it on the Fetch Your News sponsor list. So without further ado, Destiny, if you will take us to break, please, we will come back and we will look a little bit deeper into some of the Ukraine stuff going on. And let's just see really if Rush is correct, whether some of these people like Lindsey Graham, John McCain, are implicated in some of the goings-on.
These are the weeds you were talking about.
These are the weeds that we were talking about. We're going to go off the rails, which lead into the weeds.
There's some big thistles in there, folks. Big thistles.
Big thistles. Anyway, Destiny, take us to break, please.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
I'm Jeff Riblett, President of Asset Protection Group. As a certified financial planner and with 20 years experience, I've helped thousands of families and business owners create a tremendous amount of wealth. Fortunately, most of that wealth has been protected. Don't allow an unforeseen life event, such as a nursing home stay or the next market meltdown, destroy your family's wealth. Be smart. Call me. Let's determine how best to protect your assets and preserve your wealth.
Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Better days ahead. Days Chevy in Jasper makes the holidays bright. And during the 2019 model year end clearance sale, the savings are huge, like over $11,000 off 2019 Silverado crew cabs, or more than $6,500 off 2019 Chevy Colorados. 'Tis the season of giving, and we're giving you thousands off every Chevy during the 2019 model year end clearance at Day Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevys always cost less.
Better days ahead, Day Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hey, we're back in this second hour. Can't believe the time has gone that fast already. Anyway,
flies when you're having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. This is RFJ and BAC. Good morning from the office. North Georgia's only live telecast. You can reach us on Twitter at Fetch Your News or at FYN. You can reach us on Instagram at FYNTV, at Fetch Your News. And you can also check the YouTube channel, FYNTV Fetch Your News. And we are in for BKP this morning, who is on special assignment. I don't know what that special is, but
we're not going there.
He's on assignment somewhere. I don't know. Maybe he's sleeping in this morning, for all I know. We promised you we would go into the weeds a little bit, but
breaking news.
In an effort to bring you breaking news this morning, reported 38 minutes ago, we have Greta Thunberg. And Destiny, if you have a picture of the person of the year, Time, it's on if you can capture it from one of the websites on Fox. Greta Thunberg is the young Swedish-born activist who is Time Magazine's 2019 Person of the Year. Thunberg and President Trump, who was named Person of the Year in 2016, were among the finalists. Yes, Trump was among the finalists, along with Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Oh,
Women's World Cup champion Megan Rapinoe, and the anonymous whistleblower who helped ignite the impeachment inquiry.
I thought the Hong Kong protesters were thrown in there too. They were sort of as a group.
I can't believe that they didn't get mentioned. You're right.
But anyway.
Thunberg was called a brat by the Brazilian
president.
Yeah,
Bolsonaro.
What'd she do? She blamed the indigenous people that were killed in the Amazon.
No, she said indigenous people were being killed because they were protesting the deforestation of the Amazon.
There's our girl, Person of the Year. Thank you for that, Destiny. Greta Sundberg. You know, it was interesting. I was watching The Five about 3 weeks ago, and they were talking about Time Person of the Year. And I don't know if she had an inside track or what, but what's her name? The blonde that sits next to
Dana Perino?
Yeah, Dana, yeah. How soon we forget. Dana Perino came out and said, I predict Person of the Year. Time's Person of the Year will be Greta Thunberg. So if you watch The Five tonight on Fox, I'm sure you'll hear her extolling her crystal ball ability to predict the future.
Did you mentioned Megan Rapinoe is a finalist. She did win the Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year, and in her acceptance speech, you know, she basically, you know, beat the heck out of Sports Illustrated for not having enough women, not having enough people of diversity on the staff, and doing all this sort of stuff. So, you know, she's a talented soccer player, but she's an angry person. I just don't understand why she's so angry, and particularly in accepting an award, that you would sort of get in the face of the people giving you the award. But that's sort of the mindset of some of the people that are on the way left.
She's the same little 16-year-old twit who appeared in front of all the world leaders and said, how dare you, you've stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I am one of the lucky ones, she said. I'm telling you.
Well, she's only got 11 years to live, so I mean, you know, no big deal.
We may outlive her, because I don't think anything.
I know we're going to go right past it.
I don't think the world's going to end. in 11 years.
Contrary to you know, AOC and the squad's opinion, the world is not going to end in 12 years.
Well, contrary to what Margaret Atwood said, who compared her to Joan of Arc, I summarily disagree.
Yeah, and again, Greta was the young lady who sailed across the Atlantic to come to the UN, and then got stuck here because she couldn't find a ride back for a while, and she refused to fly on planes, you know, because that's polluting. Unlike a lot of other, you know, celebrities and other people who, you know, moan about the environment. But she finally got a ride on a sailboat over to Europe with an Australian couple.
What was that made from?
It was a very large sailing vessel. I think it was close to 100 feet, and it was made from fiberglass. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah, yeah.
You ever see how fiberglass is done, folks? Take a whiff of that one day and tell me there aren't some hydrocarbons in there.
There's a few hydrocarbons, folks.
That's
in the mat and in the resin.
That's hysterical. Yeah. Anyway, okay, we promised you we would go into the weeds. And
weeds.
Now that everybody's probably tuning out because they don't want to go in the weeds, I'm going to go there anyway. We have said so many times on this show, excuse me, and on the panel on Friday, that there is a purpose that people spend $20 million on a campaign in order to gain a seat that's only worth $250,000 in salary, because they have the ability to wield a lot of power. There's a lot of power in some of those committee seats. There's a lot of power in some of the committees that Mitch McConnell signs. There's a lot of power in some of these. You know what a coddle is? You've heard of a coddle. A coddle is a contraction of two words, congressional delegation, coddle. These coddle groups, they go to these different countries and they talk about foreign aid that they can bring. But oh, by the way, there is a little quid pro quo that we'd like to make you aware of, and that is we've got some family foundations back home. So if we give you this foreign aid and you decide to accept it, we just need, these are great foundations, folks.
We would like you to consider.
We would like you to consider our family foundations and some of the good work we do back home. So it would, we would implore you to consider sending some of that money back to the U.S.
Let's recycle that stuff.
Let's funnel that stuff back to the U.S. Well, that's just exactly what happened, as Rudy will document. Rudy Giuliani, a 50-year crime fighter, by the way.
Rudy's got a record.
He does have a record, and people don't take into account that this guy is a very accomplished crime fighter.
Yeah, he had an exemplary record.
He knows where
as
to
AG.
find the bodies that are buried.
Mm-hmm.
What was the Southern District in New
New
York?
York?
Yeah, wasn't he head of that for a while?
Yeah.
As a federal prosecutor.
Yeah,
Now, he brought some bad dudes down, folks. This guy is no slouch. He's been over there fighting and digging, and he's been meeting with these people that have offered to come forward, whistleblowers in effect, offered to come forward to deliver direct exculpatory testimony to describe what went on, whether it be with Biden and his son or others. And, it just leads me to believe every day further that the swamp is real, the swamp is rampant, and in order to clean out the swamp, I mean, there's some folks that probably are in the swamp that you wouldn't even believe. And they came out with something on Rush's show yesterday that Rudy is documenting how Bill Taylor, the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine in 06 and 09, made a point of denying visas to some of these whistleblowers that wanted to come forward.
Say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so. There were people that wanted to come forward and say that there was money being funneled back. And two of the culprits that were allegedly involved were, you ready for this? John McCain and none other but Lindsey Graham. And the whole key, you saw Lindsey Graham come out and fight for Kavanaugh. And you've seen Lindsey Graham come out and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this. I tell you, the guy does nothing that he says he's going to do.
Uh-oh.
In terms of bringing this to light. Here's how it works. McConnell puts these coddles together. They go over, they cut their deals, they come back. McConnell is aware of it. So he's got, number one, he's got leverage.
Mm-hmm.
He's got leverage over these people.
He knows what they're doing.
He knows exactly what they're doing, and he can call a favor in when he needs one. Yeah. If I need a vote, by the way, remember that little trip I sent you on? And you came back with a few extra shekels in your pocket?
Senator Graham, Turtle is calling.
Take Turtle's call, always.
Always take Turtle's call.
That's hysterical. Anyway, you broke my chain here. I was rolling. Anyway, so Turtle is McConnell gets wind, figures out what's going on. That figures out. He already knows what's going on. He is just brought into the picture when this coddle, whoever they may be, comes back, congressional delegation. They come back and they report back, this is what we've accomplished, this is what we've done, and we've done some good for the foundations. And we've also done some good by spreading this U.S. aid to a country in need, such as Ukraine. Then you've got Yovanovitch, who's in on the deal with McCain and with Lindsey Graham. And what's their first and foremost thing that they need to do? They need to protect the Bidens. Because if they let the Bidens go under the bus, guess who gets brought to light next? It's all of these splinter groups that have been working behind the scenes, doing the exact same thing that the Bidens are doing, and padding their wallet. And I'm telling you, folks, it is despicable when you look into the allegations. And where there's smoke, I've got to believe that there's fire with Rudy, because he's not making this stuff up as he goes. He represents the president's interest, and he represents, I believe, the foundation of what we're going to find out has been going on in the Ukraine when this whole thing blows up.
Well, you mentioned John McCain. Of course, doing that puts us in the possibility of being mentioned on The View. We should worry about that. Anything about the memory of John McCain or his legacy or statue is vociferously defended by his daughter Meghan, who is a member of The View. So, just forewarned is foreadvised.
Yeah. It was interesting you say that. I don't know if you read my notes, but Rush made a point of pointing her out.
I did not read your notes.
And saying that she's been the biggest defender of McCain, of her father.
Yeah.
And rightly so, a daughter should.
Yeah.
But for what reason? For what reason?
Well, I'm not going there.
Yeah. Now, granted, the McCain family, thanks to Mama McCain, Cindy, is probably one of the biggest Budweiser distributors west of the Mississippi. The Budweiser distributorships in their reach are very, very lucrative, and good for them. This is something that McCain married into, and I'm not saying that they didn't have money going in. But I can tell you,
a lot more money coming out.
I can tell you that if you look, and we've said this on the show before, and I don't mean to be redundant, if someone like a Glenn Beck would take the time to catalog all of the Congress people and all the Senate people that come into office, spending millions of dollars to gain a seat that only pays $250,000 or whatever it is.
That was 179 or 175.
Whatever it is, yeah. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what the majority of these people pay to get elected. And you catalog the net worth of these individuals when they come in, and then the net worth of these individuals when they retire, when they leave Congress. And I'm not convinced that some of the reason that these people are bailing left and right is because they see the writing on the wall, and they figure, okay, if I run for the weeds now, I might not be implicated in something that may be coming down the pike in the possibly distant future.
So I need to get that lobbying job now.
But if some of these people are complicit, a lot of these people are saying, I gotta go. I'm, unlike a Bill Frist, who the doctor from Tennessee, who came in and he said, I'm going to be in this thing, I'm going to be in this game for 2 terms, and then I'm out of here.
No mas.
Yeah, exactly. There was Zell Miller. Zell Miller, I was told secondhand the other night. Zell Miller told a friend of ours that he feels dirty when he's in Washington.
Ooh.
And he said the stuff that goes on is just horrible. And that's why he took a pass at politics after being in for a while.
Well, he was governor, right? Here.
He was also in Congress.
Okay.
Or was he a senator? I can't remember.
I don't know. Before my time in Georgia.
Yeah, but it was someone from Georgia. And I was listening to a story the other night, a first-hand conversation that a friend of mine told me he heard directly from Zell. And he said, he didn't say it was a swamp, but he said it was dirty. He said everything inside the Beltway just felt dirty to him. And I'm beginning to see how all of this works now. And the more you look at these pockets of influence and how they are padding their pockets, it's just amazing. And I don't care whether it's nonpartisan. I don't care whether it's Democrat or Republican. There was a congressman that was pointed out the other day that, is directly his district. There's military contractors in his district.
Oh boy!
And suddenly his family foundation has just flourished.
What a shock!
How does that happen?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you mentioned, again, the way congressmen, senators, and people of higher office have benefited from their public service. The Clintons and the Obamas supposedly were barely scraping two nickels together when they came into office to listen to them tell it.
That's absolutely true. That's documented.
Okay, well, the Clinton Foundation, I mean, at its peak, and I know it's shrinking because they're not getting any more contributions, I think was something like $500 million.
Yeah.
It was huge. And I just heard the other day, because again, the Obamas just bought an almost 30-acre estate on Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard.
$11.75 million. And
cash.
Yeah, they came in,
They didn't have to get a conventional mortgage, by the way, on that property, folks. They weren't looking for an 80-20 deal, a jumbo loan.
Yeah. But part of that story is I heard their estimated net worth is $135 million now, the Obamas. And you go, okay, well, Michelle got $65 million for her book, which, is selling very well, memoir, or something like that. And then they have this $50 million deal with Netflix, where they make movies and documentaries, and they've already had one that was like a total bomb. But, $135 million net worth. I mean, for, a guy who was a community organizer, and, neither of them have active law license anymore. They've let them expire or whatever.
Hers was yanked.
You just scratch your head at this stuff. But, he's got a nice presidential pension. But it certainly doesn't
Secret Service for the rest of his life.
Yeah, but
health care.
Going from two nickels coming in to $135 million. Excuse me.
Nice gig. Nice gig if you can get it.
Exactly.
I would love to see Valerie Jarrett. I would love to have someone explore her income intake and where it comes from.
Yeah, I mean,
was she part of the deal with the cash going to Iran?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Well, yeah, that some of the Obama money is supposedly recycled Iranian $150 billion.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's another story for another day. But
exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly the tie that the Obama administration had with Valerie Jarrett, her being part of the Brotherhood, a relative being part of the Brotherhood. And, just before he leaves office, he makes a deal for some ratty-ass prisoners that were high profile. And, oh, by the way, we want this military deserter back, who we made a big deal about in the Rose Garden.
Was that Bo Bergdahl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bo Bergdahl. Anyway.
Yeah.
Pallets of cash on a DC, on a C-131. Landing, and we can't leave yet. We don't have the prisoners yet. We can't leave yet. The cash isn't here.
Yeah.
We got the prisoners on board, but the cash hasn't landed. Is anybody counting the cash yet? We got to get out of here.
Yeah, where's the cash?
Gee, many Christmas.
Yeah, it's
anyway
pretty sad.
Well, anyway, we're going to keep it light in the second half hour. We've probably bored everybody to death with our in the weeds, but I'm telling you, folks, take a look at it for yourself. Please take a look at it. Go back to the transcripts of Rush's show. Do your homework yourself. Look at some of these guys, like Bill Taylor. Look at some of the ambassadors that followed him, like Yovanovitch, who sat in front of the Senate subcommittee and lied through her teeth. And that's going to come out. That's something else that Rudy's uncovered. Rudy is no slouch. He's a 50-year veteran. He's a crime fighter. And he is like a dog on a meat truck. He is not going to get off.
Or chasing the meat truck.
Chasing the meat truck. He is not going to quit until people come to justice. Anyway, let's keep it light in the last half hour, shall we?
Yeah, before we go to break, I'd just like to
follow up a little on
Ukraine. No. Just we'll take it to break with
I'll
this.
take a little sip here. Go ahead.
This has to do with the whole Biden situation in Ukraine. Again, off in the weeds here, but the article I have here talks about the Ukrainian prosecutor, Viktor Shokin.
Yep, that's who Rudy's been meeting with.
Exactly, and basically, he was saying that he was told that the Joe Biden was infuriated that the Ukrainian authorities seized the assets of Burisma being the gas holding company that his son Hunter had been on the board of since 2014.
You mean the same company that he said, I didn't even know he was on the board till after he was asked.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
essentially, this prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, said that the former president, Petro Poroshenko, had told him to stop investigating Burisma because Joe Biden was infuriated. And he said they're withholding this money for the Ukraine, and we're not going to get the money. And Joe Biden has said this on TV that, if you don't stop this investigation of Burisma, you're not going to get the money. And 6 hours later, Viktor Shokin basically dropped the case under orders of the president, and the money was released. So, interestingly enough, he said that the Burisma owner is a fellow by the name of Zlochevsky, Mykola Zlochevsky, who coincidentally at the same time he was chairing Burisma, he was the Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources in the Ukraine. Well, that's a fun position. Anyway, according to Shokin, Zlochevsky was laundering money and had removed $23 million of money out of the Ukraine illegally at the time. While he was the minister, he approved 2 additional entities to receive permits for gas exploration, which allowed him to get profit while he was sitting as a minister, which, again, a lot of governments have rules against that sort of stuff. But, long story short, at the end of this article, he basically said that $900,000 was made to Biden's consultancy firm, Hunter Biden's, Rosemont Seneca, which was also involved later on with China. But
China to the tune of $1.5 billion, folks.
Yeah. But the $900,000 that was sent to Rosemont Seneca was for, quote, services rendered for lobbying by Joe Biden, unquote. We'll leave that with you to kind of sink your teeth into and think about a little bit. But services by the Vice President of the U.S.
Bruce is right. It's become anaerobic. You can't breathe in the swamp anymore. You got to get some gills or you're going to die. Yep. Anyway, we went a little long on that, but that was good stuff. It was a good way to end that segment. Yeah. It's just going to show you how it's going to come out. It's going to come out one way or the other. So anyway, we're going to keep it light in the next half hour, the last half hour, where we'll talk a little sports, maybe talk a little bit of bowl matchups and see what's coming on the horizon. Get Mr. Go Tiger over here. That's Geaux, by the way. Anyway,
Go Tigers.
That's it. So anyway, Destiny, you're doing a great job this morning, as always. Would you take us to break, please? And then we'll come back after these messages from our sponsors.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
I'm Jeff Riblett, President of Asset Protection Group. As a certified financial planner and with 20 years experience, I've helped thousands of families and business owners create a tremendous amount of wealth. Fortunately, most of that wealth has been protected. Don't allow an unforeseen life event, such as a nursing home stay or the next market meltdown, destroy your family's wealth. Be smart. Call me. Let's determine how best to protect your assets and preserve your wealth.
Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Hey, we are back for the final half hour. The final half hour of our illustrious career this morning as talk show commentators.
Career. Yeah, this could be it.
Yeah, this could be it. This could be the swirl right down the toilet.
Yeah.
Anyway, good morning from the office. This is BAC and RFG with you this morning, substituting in for BKP. We've got the call signs as to how to get a hold of us. We've got the Instagram at FYNTV at Fetcher News. We have the Twitter account at Fetcher News and at FYNTV, and visit it on our YouTube channel, FYNTV Fetcher News. We've been around the board this morning. Yeah, we've been in the weeds. We've talked about the breaking news, the Time Person of the Year.
Greta Thunberg.
Yes, that little brat from Sweden. What can I tell you? Anyway, she beat out our bud Donald Trump, and
well, I really thought the Hong Kong protesters did.
Yeah,
we should get more of a shout out than Greta Thunberg. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean they've made an impact.
Yeah, they did. That's still going on too.
Yeah, so. Exactly. So anyway, I thought we'd keep it a little bit light, and highlight bowl season a little bit. You've had Bruce, as many of you have come to learn. His longest residency, other than his home in Chicago, was spent in Louisiana.
Baton Rouge.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Am I right so far?
Yeah, 17 and a half years in Red Stick.
17 and a half years in the old Red Stick, running up and down that highway.
There you go.
Back and forth to the mines.
Mm-hmm. To the river.
To the river, yeah. Like a river rat.
Yep.
Yeah. Bruce was not a barrister. Not a barrister. I didn't mean a barrister.
A barrister.
Yeah, that's a lawyer. What was the word I was thinking of? What are the guys? Stevedore. That's it. Stevedore. No, he did not work in steerage, but Bruce ran a company down there that
made sure the stevedores did what they were supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. He was loading stuff on and loading stuff off.
Yep.
Barges coming down the river.
Or ships coming in or whatever.
Yeah, we just hope there wasn't high tide, right?
Oh, boy.
Anyway, I digress. Bruce was from Louisiana for 17 and a half years, and through osmosis and through one of his two boys attending LSU, became a fan.
Indeed. Well, I mean, you get 100,000 people outside the stadium tailgating. I mean, it's a party.
Let me tell you, those folks know how to party. We went down to a baseball game one time, and they know how to play baseball. They know how to party, and they know how to play football. They've played basketball well every once in a while.
Yeah, Shaq.
Yeah. Shaq is the Shaq Attack.
And Pete Maravich.
They're having a heck of a year this year. If Joe Burrow, after his performance against Georgia, doesn't send him way over the top in the Heisman voters' eyes, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a triple threat performance. He did it all. And, I mean, the guy, wasn't he with Georgia at one time?
No, Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, with the whole Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, where all the quarterbacks were doing this.
Yeah.
From Ohio State, from Alabama, from LSU, into Oklahoma. I mean, they all migrated and voomp. We've got a bowl season this year that I believe everybody can be satisfied with and everybody was looking forward to. Now, granted, the teams that didn't make it in the Final Four, they didn't deserve to make it. Georgia didn't play well enough to win twice against LSU.
Well, I mean, once again as LSU, and then who beat them? Auburn or
South Carolina.
South Carolina Gamecocks. Okay.
Yeah. So
who's talking about dropping football?
South Carolina?
Yeah.
You're kidding?
No.
Huh?
Maybe I'm getting mixed up with another Carolina school. Anyway, we digress.
Well, yeah. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we got some bowl matchups that are going to be really intriguing this year.
I'd agree.
I think the bowl committee got who they wanted to get by Georgia losing, and they didn't have to make a decision. They were able to move Oklahoma with their win right into that fourth slot. Mm-hmm. So now they've got parity among the conferences, the big conferences.
Yeah, and some interesting things. I mean, LSU is going to play Oklahoma, so
Right.
1-4, and Ohio State, number 2, will play Clemson, number 3.
So you've got ACC Clemson, you've got Ohio State Big Ten, you've got SEC LSU, and you've got Southwest Conference Oklahoma.
Yep.
Those are the 4 big conferences.
Yep.
I'm sure I'm missing somebody. You can go out and take
the Pac-12. I mean, but
Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean
they've been a non-factor. I mean, regardless of the fact that they play at midnight when we're sleeping.
Yeah.
They
Oregon, just didn't, have enough to get into the Final Four. I mean, and
they got ducked.
Utah the same way, and Alabama even, So it's interesting, but a couple of fun facts are that three of the quarterbacks are transfers.
Yeah.
So Burrow transferred from Ohio State. Justin Fields, the Ohio State, transferred from Georgia.
Georgia, that's the one I was thinking of.
And Jalen Hurts for Oklahoma transferred from Alabama. Yes.
Yeah.
So
and what happens at Alabama? Tua Tagovailoa, Tagovailoa. That's it. Tagovailoa. He got hurt. I hope he's back. That was a devastating injury.
Yeah, busted his hip.
I mean, I hope it doesn't. He had a dislocated hip.
Dislocated.
Yeah. When that happens, there's necrosis at the top of the femur, which is what happened to the Auburn star.
Not Herschel Walker.
No, the Auburn star. Bo Jackson. I'm going like this because Bo Jackson played baseball as well. Bo Jackson from the Oakland A's and Bo Jackson from the Auburn
Raiders?
Tigers and the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
Played all 3 places, Heisman Trophy winner. Same injury to him when he was playing football at Oakland, and he developed a necrosis, which means that there's no blood flow up there. So you have a disintegration of the bone at the top of the femur, and then you've got to get a prosthesis. You got to get a new joint in there. Hopefully that won't happen with this young man because I think he's got a terrific career. I hope he's got an insurance policy, but
he didn't.
He didn't. There's a close friend of mine who is a diehard Alabama fan. All 3 of his kids went there, or 2 of his kids. I can't remember which one. Anyway, he told me all year. He said Alabama's not going to be there this year. They do not have the defense.
Yeah.
And it was true. They were able to put points on the board, but the other team was always
able to put
more points on the board.
Yeah.
in the critical games.
Yeah.
No. The critical games where they suffered losses. And quite frankly, their schedule wasn't that big deal.
That's true.
Their schedule was not that great.
They had a pretty easy schedule this year.
I mean, Auburn was a good team. I'm not taking anything away from Auburn.
Well, and LSU beat them too.
And LSU beat them too. Yeah. Both teams in their division, both divisional rivals, they ended up beating them. So they're out of it, and they're going to be in a bowl game. But c'est la.
And the other interesting thing is that in the Ohio State-Clemson matchup, Trevor Lawrence, who's the quarterback for Clemson, and Justin Fields are both athlete of the years from Georgia. Yeah.
And Georgia had a chance to pick either one of them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean they literally, and then at the end of the day, Justin Fields went to Georgia. So
and Trevor Lawrence went to Clemson.
Trevor went to Clemson.
Yeah.
And now, who walks in but Fromm?
Jake Fromm.
Justin gets irritated.
Yep.
So he applies for release, goes to Ohio State, and becomes a star.
Yeah. He's had a super year. I mean, he's a Heisman finalist as well.
Exactly. Tremendous year.
Yep.
Semifinal PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Clemson versus Ohio State. Who's your pick?
Clemson.
Yeah, really?
Close game, but I'm going with Clemson.
Lamb versus Stingley, the appetizer on the semifinal day. That'll be an interesting match.
They're going to be great games. I think they're both going to be very.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence had that breakout performance that he did when he came out of the box.
No.
I think he had some really average games, and I don't know what to attribute it to. Whether it was the level of competition, whether it was a sophomore jinx. Isn't he a sophomore?
Yeah.
Whether it was a sophomore jinx or whatever.
But
complacency. I don't know.
They got more integrated as the year went on, so I think they're peaking at the right time, and I would say the same thing for the LSU defense. They had some pretty sloppy games. I mean, the game against Ole Miss was horrible when they let the quarterback run for 212 yards, something like that, 600 yards of total offense. I mean, it was a bad defensive game. But they've tightened up their defense the last game. So
I've got to go with the Big Ten. I've got to go with Ohio State.
Okay.
In deference to your pick, Clemson, I've got to go with Ohio State after their performance against a really highly motivated Wisconsin team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were down. They were down 2 scores at the half.
They were. Yep.
And I mean, they fired on all cylinders in that second half, and they came back with a vengeance. So I'm gonna go with Ohio State, but like you say, it'll be an interesting matchup. The Valero Alamo Bowl. Let's not go with that one.
No.
Let's go down to where's the other semifinal?
Should be before that one.
Clemson, Ohio State.
Up above it.
Above it. The
Peach
other
Bowl. It's going to be in Atlanta.
Yeah, the Peach Bowl.
It's going to be in Atlanta,
and that's going to be LS who?
And the Sooners, Boomer Sooner.
There we go.
Yep. And I got to go with my boys.
Of course.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I think they're the best team in football right now. I really do. I think they are a well-rounded team. They have very few weaknesses. The only weakness, if they have a weakness, a perceived weakness, it's probably defense against the run.
Yeah, their D line
right?
and their linebackers. Yeah, they've had linebackers.
They're not stingy enough in the box.
Yeah.
And they got great D-backs.
Yeah.
And they can really cover the downfield pass.
Yeah, and they're all healthy too. I mean, their safety Delpit is back. For the last couple of games, healthy. He's had an ankle injury for mid-season. So, yeah, I mean it's all coming together. I mean, it should be again. I think 2 really, really fun games to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't. I would not bet against LSU to save my life because I think they really have a shot to be national champion this year. And congrats to them because good old gravelly, what's his name?
Ed Orgeron.
Ed Orgeron. I'll tell you what, to listen to him is to.
Go Tigers!
Yeah, that's right. He always ends his interview with that. Anyway, Oklahoma. So goes the quarterback, so goes the team, in my estimation.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a scrambling quarterback, very talented young man.
Very talented.
And, I mean, he has a good receiver in CeeDee Lamb. So I think if they can shut down the passing to CeeDee Lamb and, keep him bottled up, which will be a challenge, as you said, for their run defense. So it'll be an interesting game.
The All-State Sugar Bowl down in Nolens, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got Baylor. Baylor's been a pretty good team this year.
Yeah.
Against the old Georgia Bulldogs. So it's Georgia's stout offensive line against Baylor's fast defensive line. Be a fun matchup across the board. Who's your pick?
I had to go with Baylor. I saw them play. They're
fast.
They're very fast. And I just know Georgia, they seem to get in the funk, and I'm not sure, losing the SEC championship the way they did.
They got pounded.
If Kirby's going to be able to get them, up off the ground and have them bounce back. So
don't ask my wife about Kirby. She's
not a fan.
Not yet. School's still out a little bit on her.
Okay.
So I don't know. Any other bowls that come to mind that you think will be formidable?
No.
Let's see. Notre Dame plays Texas. That ought to be a decent game.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be fun to watch. It'll be entertaining.
Texas, I think, has some things to prove. I think they've had a disappointing year. From their point of view, they thought they'd have a much better year with Ellinger.
And quite frankly, Notre Dame never does well in the bowls.
Yeah.
Traditionally. I don't know why. I have my theories. My theories are that they're in a really... And I've been saying this forever, and I don't know if it even holds true or if anybody has scientific research on this, but it just seems like the cold weather teams that have to sit out for 6 weeks or 4 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever, they don't perform as well as the warm weather teams. Whether it be that they are...
But they have indoor practice.
Yeah, I know,
right?
but they still got to walk to class. They still got to, they're still out in a cold climate. Basically, it's a cold climate.
Yep.
Regardless of where they do their practice, and their body acclimates to the colder weather. Their blood gets thicker. It's slower. It's protecting what it's got.
Yep.
So I don't know if that holds true or not, but
that doesn't augur well for Ohio State.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No, it does. Well, let me. Who did they play? Clemson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It doesn't. Now, maybe they just ought to skip class for the next 3 weeks and go, stay in a sauna.
Or are they done with school, or are they in the break yet, or
I don't know.
Maybe the end of this week.
I don't know.
Next
Most
week?
all the schools have gone to quarters, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not sure what the break times
I think it's going to be a great bowl season. Where's the the national championship games down at the Mercedes-Benz Sugar Bowl, right? Mercedes-Benz. Isn't it New Orleans this year?
It's in New Orleans, yeah.
So there's two big games. We got the All-State Sugar Bowl, and then we got the national championship game down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun time in Atlanta for the LSU fans. They always turn out.
Oh yeah, that'll be a big turnout.
There will be a lot of tailgating.
And can you imagine if they win and then go to New Orleans? It'll be crazy.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's like home court advantage, isn't it?
Really?
Regardless of the cost of the tickets,
Yep.
They're going to turn out regardless. They're going to be in the parking lot. Man, I'd love to. Bruce used to share a story with me when he was living down there about his barber. His barber was
RL.
RL. Regardless, I don't know if RL is still with us or.
Yeah, he is.
He cutting hair still. Anyway, Bruce used to tell me stories about he being a world famous tailgater.
Oh boy, this guy would they would cook things in the winter, and in the spring.
They would,
and then vacuum pack them and have all this stuff ready for
So all they got to do is just heat it and eat it, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
it's all cooked.
Deer, sausages, chicken, all kinds of stuff. I mean, they would have all this stuff laid out, the menu all set up. I mean, and they'd have their RV and they'd pull in and they'd do stuff, and it was just nonstop. And they're surrounded by 2,000 other people doing exactly the same thing.
Same thing. We used to go to Bears games when we lived in Chicago, and let me tell you, tailgating there was an art as well.
Oh.
And it was cold. And, they'd be out there in their snowmobile suits and drinking their blackberry brandy. But they always had a hot fire.
Oh, yeah.
With it's like the Saturday Night Live stuff. The guys are, hey, Ditka, give me another sausage. And
Yeah.
Tailgating is an art though down in LSU.
Yeah, and the amazing thing with all technology, I mean, they have all these satellite dishes and stuff, and so people.
They don't even have to go into the game. You don't have a ticket. Watch the TV at the
They got these 80-inch screens outside, and they have covers and everything. I mean, and they don't have the cold weather to deal with ever, but they do get rain and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've honed it down to an art form.
There is an art form. Someone ought to do a coffee table book of all of the different tailgating. You ought to see some tailgaters. You talk about NASCAR.
Oh,
NASCAR. I mean, those people get into the infield. They follow race to race.
Mm-hmm.
They go in the infield with these massive motorhomes. They got the satellite dishes, and they follow their driver.
Yeah, and they slide out, and they got the awnings that pull out.
Oh yeah,
it's quite amazing.
How many pullouts you got on that thing? I got 3. Whoa, that's
triple
big
slide.
time. A triple slide. Anyway, I can just imagine what it'll be down in Atlanta at the Dome when all those LSU fans get together. I'll never forget the ice rink down there when the LSU fans would come into town. We would love when I used to operate the ice skating rink down at Centennial Park and during the bowl season. And whenever LSU would come to town, we'd just have such a great time. We'd take the mini Zamboni and we'd do the tiger tails and stuff on it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, they'd come out to the skating rink and they'd want to ride on it, and they were all, they partied.
Yeah,
Let's
they
put
know
it
how to
that
party.
way.
Yeah,
They know how to party.
and then, going back to what you said about baseball, I mean, that's one of the things. Even if LSU doesn't get into the World Series up in Omaha, what was the old Rosenblatt?
Rosenblatt Stadium.
Yeah, it was the old one. They have
The
a
old
new
one. They got
now.
a new one now.
But even if LSU wasn't there, they will come up, drag
Let's
their trailers,
go.
drag their jambalaya pots, all that stuff, and they go up there and cook and just have a good time with all the other people. Yeah, and they're very well received in Omaha.
Great fans in at LSU.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have a Heisman Trophy winner. I think they're going to have a national championship. And the one thing that I will not fail on predicting, they will party in Atlanta, and they will party in New Orleans if they get there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we covered a little football ground. We would try to keep it light in the last half hour. BKP will be back with you tomorrow, which is what, Thursday?
Thursday. Yep.
Thursday morning, he'll be here bright and early at 8 o'clock to deliver his opinion. He will opine. We are, I forgot at the beginning of the show to apologize to our loyal fans that watch the show on a regular basis. Yesterday, there was a brutal storm that came through town, and we were having trouble here at the Palacios FYN studios. Getting
office.
signal in here at the office, yeah. Destiny worked so hard yesterday, and everything kept turning orange and turning different colors, and I don't understand it all, but all I know is that Brian could not produce the show, and he had a couple of really good shows this week. Very insightful stuff. It almost looks like Rush is getting his show prep sometimes from Brian, because they always seem to be running a parallel path. But anyway, Bruce and I, along with Jane, will be back on Friday morning at about 8:35, 8:40, something like that. We'll be down with our good friends at Circle World.
Yeah, Jeremy, JR,
Yeah.
Jamie.
Sycamore Crossing is our summer home. We winter at Circle World with JR and Jamie. You're right, and Jeremy. We don't want to leave out Jeremy. He's always wearing his Tennessee hat.
Yep.
Anyway, we have a good time down there. We'll debate what other stories that we missed. We'll probably rehash some of the stuff that you heard today. And don't forget, it's Ugly Sweater Friday.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to find one. I gave them all to Brian, and he tends to wear them on a daily basis.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, we've enjoyed being with you this morning. We've enjoyed being with each other from my perspective. Hopefully the feeling was mutual. Bruce and I like filling in every once in a while. It helps us get back into the news a little deeper, and then we tend to be more prepared for Friday. Anyway.
Because you never know what Brian's going to spring on us.
You just never know. Exactly. Or Jane.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, Jane is the unknown. She's the wild card in the bunch.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyway, take care of our sponsors for us, folks, will you? They make this all possible. We've enjoyed being here. Thank you, Brian, for letting us sit in your seats. Thank you, Destiny, for bringing us safely back to shore. And we will see you on Friday. Brian will see you tomorrow. And we are out of here.